What is up, Raffleitos? Welcome back to my channel. It is Monday afternoon. It's Easter Monday. It's about 5 o'clock in the afternoon in Georgetown, Guyana. It's a national holiday and it's the day for kite flying. It's Easter. So I thought I'd come out here and check out the national park. This is the line of cars waiting to get into the national park on a Monday afternoon, Easter Monday afternoon. Now, what is different this year is that the government of Guyana, decided that entrance to the national park would be free this year because for the past several years, they had decided to charge a fee to enter the park. That is the National Parks Commission, basically the equivalent of the Parks Commission, decided to charge a fee to enter the national park just because it is a major venue for kite flying on Easter Monday. This year, they decided to abandon that fee, so it's free to go into the national park. Remember last year I came around the same area and I decided not to go into the national park because I was not interested in paying to get into the park. But today, it is free, and as you can see, there's a long line of cars that's looking west on Thomas Road. Right, that's looking all the way to Camp Street on Thomas Road. There are cars lined up on both sides of the road, parked on both sides of the road. And this is what it looks like at the dog park. This is the dog park here in the national park. What is different also about today from previous years is that there's not a whole lot of wind. It's not a windy day. So there's very little wind for kite flying and there are very few kites in the air. Now again, I'm probably not going to bother to go into the national park today because I think it might be better to observe from the outside here what's going on. Or in fact, I can quickly go through. Actually, let's change that. Let's see if we can get through to the other side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to get through to the other side to Carifesta Avenue. Excuse me. So we're going to try to get through to Carifesta Avenue by walking through the national park. As you can see, it's a whole long line of cars waiting to get in here. Of course, there's always going to be some controversy and chaos because of that's the dog park, Wolfington Park. There's always going to be some controversy because of all of the people gathered here to use the park. So what we're going to do is try to get through the park on the regular walking path, but not because we can see any kite flying, but because it is the shortest distance to get through the park. Okay, these are the black juice.
Some of us used to sell drugs. Not no more.
Some of us used to be in the church.
Some of us used to be in the church.
Not no more.
Not no more. Take care of our lives.
Okay, so those are the black Jews. They seem to have a parade in the park on Easter Monday, and they're chanting about the changes that they've incorporated into their lives now that they are Jews. Yeah, so this part of the park is in fact a dog walk. They've converted that into a dog walk, and it's now a good place to hang out and fly a kite on Easter Monday, but there's no wind today. Therefore, there's not a whole lot of kite flying. There are a couple of kids trying to raise their kites. So, for example, here are a couple of kids trying to raise their kites, but it's really sad because there's not a whole lot of flying going on. But I guess it is. It is also time to have a picnic in the park. So the kids who can't fly are engaged in picnic. But let me see if I can give you an estimate. I would say that at least a few thousand people gathered in the park today. A few thousand people, meaning much more, much more than a regular day at the park. In fact, I would say probably on the order of 10,000 people just from eyeballing it. Again, you can see not a whole lot of kite flying going on because there's not a whole lot of wind. It's not a windy day. Typically, because this location is near to the Atlantic Ocean, it's near to the sea, near to the seawall. This would be a windy. This would be a windy location, but in fact, we are in the rainy season. It's been raining here in Georgetown for the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks, in fact, since early April. And this is one of the few days or few times when it's not windy because April is also a windy month. So what you have is mostly people playing, having a picnic, or just walking around or driving with their kites. But there's not a whole lot of flying going on because there is just not enough wind. There's just not enough wind. But there is no shortage of people. Of course, in this direction, we're eventually going to get to the other exit, the western exit of the park. This is the football field, and typically this would be a place to fly kites because it's a large open space with very few power lines and no trees. But again, because there is little or no wind, there's only one or two kites in the air. So Easter Monday, April 2025, has to be declared a bust as far as kite flying, as far as flying kites, because there's not enough wind. There's not enough wind for kite flying. Okay, let's see. Here at the edge of the field, you can get an idea for how large the crowd is here and how very little kite flying is going on. Typically, this would be the area with most of the flying. There would be hundreds of kites in the air. hundreds of kites in the air. You'll probably be able to see the kites that are all the way over at the seawall from this location. But instead, not enough wind, not enough breeze. It's a calm day, and because of that, no kites. But in fact, I think this atmosphere is much more friendly and family friendly and celebratory. That is, it is much more typical of Easter. It's usually a calm day.